deliver a lesson plan, before you can deliver it, you must have planned it well. Like you all know that a lesson plan is a predetermined plan of activity that is going to indicate what you want to do while you are going to class and how you want to go about it. More importantly, as a student teacher or as a pre-service teacher, you are to familiarize yourself with the curriculum content so that you will be able to know what you are expected to teach. And from there, you are going to derive what we call behavioral objective or instructional objective, or sometimes they call it lesson objective, as the case may be. The first step of preparation is that you have to familiarize yourself with the content of the curriculum so that you will know what you are expected to teach in line with the curriculum content. By the time you are able to know this is what you are expected to teach, then you can then generate behavioral objective that will serve as learning outcome. Behavioral objectives must possess SMART characteristics. SMART, meaning that your behavioral objective must be specific enough, must be measurable, must be achievable, must be realistic and time bound. So which implies that when you are setting behavioral objective at the end of the lesson, sometimes they will say by the end of the lesson, students should be able to, then you should write it specifically in a measurable term and something that is not going to be ambiguous or vague, that is going to be achievable and realistic within the timeline that you have. Remember, you might have 40 minutes or 45 minutes, as the case may be. In some schools, they can say 1 hour. So you have to look at the time that you have. Is it going to be something you are going to achieve within the stipulated time? So if your behavioral objective does not possess these SMART characteristics, that implies that you are already failed to plan well. So in lesson plan preparation, just like I have said, after knowing what the curriculum I expect you to teach, then you identify or extract behavioral objective that will tell you what you want to go and teach, given the duration of time that you have. That is why you have what we call lesson plan outline. So in your lesson plan outline, as a pre-service teacher, you have what we call, in that outline, we have the preliminary stage or preliminary section. We have the main section, which is the main content, and we have the final stage or the final section of the lesson plan outline. So in your preliminary stage, or let me say preliminary section of your lesson plan outline, there you have your name, the name of your school, the subject you want to teach, the topic you want to teach, the subtopic you want to teach. In fact, other information like learner's age, whether they are mixed, their gender, and all those basic functions, basic information that you can have. But one important thing is that apart from this preliminary section of the lesson plan outline, the main section starts where you have your behavioral objective. So avoid using verbs that are not, when I say verbs, you want to use action words, but they are not measurable. They don't have measurement implication. In the Bloom's taxonomy, you have the cognitive domain, affective domain, and psychomotive domain. So under this domain, there are verbs that you can use to measure each of these domains. For example, in the cognitive domain, where you have knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, and synthesis or evaluation. If you want to test for knowledge, you can just identify, list, mention. So by the time you are writing your behavioral objective, it is important that you write it specifically to tap into the cognitive domain that you are interested in. So you write, do not use words like at the end of the lesson, students should be able to know. To know. How do you know that you know what is claimed you know? That is philosophy of epistemology. In fact, words like that are so broad. So you have to make it specific enough. Don't use words like at the end of the lesson, students should be able to understand. How do you understand that you understand what you claim you understand? In fact, those words are very broad words or terminology, but use specific words, explain, list, mention, highlight, that will be measurable and be specific enough. If you identify 5 while you are teaching them, you should be able to say at the end of the lesson, you should be able to identify maybe 3, 4, 5. In fact, if you ask them more than 5, probably in the assignment or evaluation section, you have exposed them to how they will go and know more through their assessment as learning strategic approach that you will use. So more importantly, if you don't have a good behavioral objective, other things may not really be augur well, which implies that the foundation laying of a lesson plan preparation start from having good behavioral objective. It is not how many, even if it is 1 or 2, make it smart enough and look at the lesson duration, whether it can be achievable or not. So it is your behavioral objective that will now determine what you will use to teach in terms of instructional material. We are going to be discussing that also, but specifically, you will have to use instructional material that will assist you to achieve your behavioral objective. Don't be intending to achieve A, and you'll be using instructional material that will be achieving Z. So you have to align your behavioral objective with your instructional material as well as your teaching methodology. So if you intend to achieve at the end of the lesson, students will be able to recite, and in the class you did not use anything that has to do with you reciting. No, the methodology you are using does not allow you to recite to the student, but you intend that they should be able to recite. It means that you are already failing to achieve your behavioral objective by the method or approach that you are using. So your instructional material as well as your teaching methodology should align with your behavioral objective so that you can achieve them, because they are learning outcomes that are meant to be achieved, and that is a measure of whether your teaching is going to be effective or not. More importantly, they will say, first of all, introduction. In the lesson plan outline, introduction is very crucial and important. If by introduction you are not creating enthusiasm in your students, you are starting with an introduction that is dull, you may not be able to sustain the interest of the learner throughout the period of your lesson plan, of your lesson delivery. So your introduction matters. If you introduce well, they will want to learn more. It's the case of what am I implying? If you are able to go at the initial stage, which implies that if you have a good introduction, they will want to eat into the soup. In fact, they will be thirsty of more and more and more, and that's how you sustain their interest throughout the period of your teaching. In fact, a good introduction will capture or captivate students to come and learn that concept. So very important, introduction. Then we have what we call previous knowledge or entry behavior. Sometimes they are the same, sometimes they are not the same. It depends on how you use them. But most importantly, the mistake people make is that they classify previous lesson to be previous knowledge. If your previous lesson have a relationship with what you want to teach now, and it's going to serve as a basis for what you want to teach. For example, in an economics class, we taught money in the last class, and you want to teach financial institution now. In fact, your previous class, which is your previous lesson, can also serve as your previous knowledge or entry behavior. But it's going to be different when your previous class does not have any relationship with what you want to teach now. Then it implies that you are talking about what students already know before coming to your class about that concept that you are teaching. So get that clearly. So when you are saying entry behavior, you are writing entry behavior in your lesson plan outline. Write it in such a way that it is going to tell us what students know about what you want to teach before that time, or what you have taught them that is related to what you want to teach now, that will serve as a basis that you can now build upon. Are you getting it clearly? So it implies that your entry behavior matters, because the mind is not tabula rasa according to naturalism philosophy. The mind is such that it is having something in within, which is idealism in the philosophy of education. It is only left for you as a teacher to add to it so that it can become one. The content of your lesson plan outline also matters. Your content should emanate at least from your behavioral objective. Every behavioral objective should have a content that will specify what you are going to explain or what you are going to list, identify as the case may be. And that content should be brief enough, except if you are writing a comprehensive lesson note with your lesson plan, because your lesson plan is very brief, while the lesson note encompasses both the lesson plan as well as notes that you will give out to students while delivering the lecture. So ensure that your content has a relationship with your objective, one after the other. And since you are not teaching using the lecture method like I am doing, where students are not allowed to respond, there should be activity of students during your teaching. So in fact, it is important for you to put student activities in your lesson content, whether step 1, step 2, step 3, when you are writing all those steps. Put a step where student activities will come in, especially when you assess them formatively during the process. You can also ask them questions, classwork, etc. More importantly, your summary and conclusion should be a wrap-up of what you have said. A wrap-up means that, in brief, at least if they are not getting it, from that wrap-up alone, they can easily get a tip of what you have been talking about. So far, so good. One important aspect of your lesson plan outline is evaluation. How do you know that what you have set in your behavioral objective, you have achieved it? It is from your evaluation. And remember, evaluation can either be formative or summative. So don't wait till the end of the lesson. Your evaluation can have the formative phase where you ask them during, as well as the summative one. Assignments are meant to make them explore or make them understand better by them doing it. It's an assessment as learning approach. So you can give students assignment on what you have taught them, so that when they go back and look at it, it will be more clear. Or you give them assignment on what you expect them to know. Don't go and give them assignment of what you have not taught them. Though most times, if you feel you want to give an assignment about what you have not taught them, it should be related to the next class. But it is important you concretize what you have taught them now, using assignment to also allow them to go back to what you have taught them, rather than giving them what you have not taught them. They will not have the connection with what you have taught them now. They will lose out now, and they will also maybe not get it well. So please and please, evaluation is also important, and all your evaluation basically should at least emanate from your behavioral objective. If you say students should be able to list, outline, mention in your assessment, you should also ask them mention, list, highlight, describe, explain. Don't teach them A and go and ask them Z. Your assessment will not be valid. One important thing is that you are not going to write everything from your head. That means you need reference materials. And reference materials are also textbooks or all those things you consulted. So there's a section, usually at the last aspect, where you have references. It is fundamental of you to note that you have to write the author's name, the year, the title of the book or textbook, the page numbers. If you can write all those things, if you have a format that you want to follow, fine. But if you are not following any format, at least it should contain author's name, year of publication, the title of the book, then the words, publisher, as well as page number. But if you are following the APA format, which is the American Psychology Association format, it has a way by which you have to write it. So if you are doing those things, you are able to write out the outline that will serve as a good preparation. Then why delivering your lesson? Because if you have planned well, you have already have 50% confidence that you will do well. Why delivering? Don't be rigid. I repeat, don't be rigid. Be flexible enough to achieve what you have written down.